Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
From the hills of the Ardennes Forest, we travel across the globe to find ourselves here at the base of Mount Fuji at the Fuji Speedway for Round 8 of the ARL GT3 Trophy Series. Hello everyone, my name is DJ Clark, joined here in the commentary booth as always by Andy Thompson with our director and producer Sam Fitzpatrick behind the scenes. And Andy, this is one of the newest circuits on iRacing, just added in the last update, and it is a fierce and fearsomely fast circuit that these drivers are going to have to contend with, and I think it's going to throw up some fantastic action here today.
Yeah, thanks DJ, and welcome viewers. Yeah, Fuji Speedway, a brand new track added onto iRacing, like you said, this season. It's going to be an interesting track. It's such a diverse track. You've got the probably one of the longest straights of a track in the world, 1.475 kilometers long. But then you've got the really tricky section 3 of the track, which is pretty much held in third gear the majority of the way around that part of the track. That's from turn 10, where it's down to first, all the way down to turn 16. So that's going to be very tricky for these drivers, and it's all going to be about who's done the most amount of practice tonight on this track.
Yes, it certainly is. But before we get to the action out on track, let's go ahead and run you through the championship standings here. Leading the way up in the pro category, it continues to be Christoph Herbeno, who returned from a week off last time out to be able to claim a 4th place. But even with that, he still holds on to a pretty substantial lead there in the pro category over Mark Fletcher. Niels Eriks Isaacson, who has been on a good run of form lately, sits there in 3rd. Kjetil Larsen there in 4th place, and Carl Winkler rounding out your top 5. It really looks like, if anything, it's going to be a battle there within that top 5. Moving on down into the Pro-Am category, well, Jacob Behrens has been the superstar thus far, but there, as you can see, he still has a little bit of competition from Martin Deckens as he holds on back to him. Deckens trying to be able to close in on that gap, but a very, very close, relatively close running between the two of them. Sitting a fair ways back, though, Alexander Scarrett and Gavin Gardner, and then all the way back down to Paul Collishaw, really turning into a 2-horse race there in the Pro-Am field. Jumping down into the Am field, well, it has been the domination of Christoph Otterholt. Despite missing 2 rounds, he still holds an over 50-point lead over the rest of the field, and that in particular of Russ Fowler. Luke Pint hoping to be able to close in. A nice little battle starting to shape shape itself up there for that third place position, though, with Sean Crenley-Schwa and Taraxoy there as they go working their way through it. Also want to bring you over into the teams championship that we have here today, and leading the way with that, it is IGL Coatings E-Racing number 1, leading the way by a substantial margin over the rest of the field, including Core Sim Racing Legacy. The interesting thing to note there, though, is that Altitude Esports holds on to third over Hardpoint by Delta Sport, even though they have taken the most wins out of anyone this season, with Christoph Herbeno behind the wheel. We'll have to see if they're going to be able to mount a little bit of a fight back here later on as we get our way going. But there they go, and we are out right now for qualifying around this circuit. And I've got to imagine here tonight, Andy, that you're going to want to be behind somebody, specifically down that massively long front straightaway, try to take advantage of the draft as much as possible.
Yeah, definitely. That's such a long straight, and that is really going to be one of the defining moments of this track, is that slipstream effect down that start-finish straight. If you can hook up to a car in front of you, by the end of the straight, you should be in front and be able to make an easy pass down the start-finish. Because looking at the rest of the track, it's going to be very difficult to make a pass unless you're going to be extremely brave on the brakes. I mean, when you come around section 1 of the track, turn 1 is a first gear corner. Then you head up into section 2, up through the gears, up to 4th into Coca-Cola corner, turn number 3. Then it's a long looping 100R right-hand corner, turns 4 and 5, which is pretty much held in 4th, coming down to 3rd by the end of it. Then you come up into the hairpin of turn number 6. That's a second gear corner, and each one of these corners, you're really cutting the track and the inside of the track to try and open up the corners as much as you can. After turn 6, you're getting on the power through 7, 8, 9, through 300R, down to Dunlop corner, back down to hard braking from 5th gear, back down into 1st. Then it's the really tight section of the track from turn 10 to 16. You literally got hairpin chicanes in that section, and it's going to be a very difficult time to pass, but that's the ideal time to be able to get onto a back of a car, hook yourself up for getting that really good exit out of turn 16. But turn 16 is a treacherous corner in itself. You've really got to just wait to get the power on that corner. If you put it on too early, you can see there the curbs on in the back of the broadcast there, the yellow curbs. If you hit them curbs, that will put your car off track, and you will lose an absolute mountain of time down this start finish straight. So it's all going to be about, I think, the overtaking move down the start finish.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there, as drivers are out on track right now, and it looks like the Pro-Am driver of Jacob Barron's going to set down the provisional marker of a 136.187. That appears to be the time to beat, and once again, Barron's being able to slice and dice his way up with the pro field. They're doing a fantastic job. There is Mark Fletcher pulling off to the side. It's a 10-minute qualifying session out here, and so drivers clearly opting to be able to come out, set down a fast lap, come back in pit lane, reset the car, and come back out on track. We ride on board here with your Pro Championship leader, Christoph Herbeno, letting one of those Lamborghinis out and on by him right now as they run, trying to see if he's going to be able to improve. He's about 0.2 of a second off of that top time of Jacob Barron's, but it is a very, very close run between himself, Winkler, and Dadswell. They are only separated by a mere 1,000th of a second.
I mean, Jack Barron's, look at the guy's change of fortune. In the first 3-4 rounds, he was nowhere really, mixing it very much with the Pro-Ams. But certainly 4 races ago, a switch has just turned on in his car, and he has been electric, being the top Pro-Am driver. Not just in the Pro-Ams, he is mixing it up with the pros out the front of this field. I think he's not finished less than 5th in the last 3 races, so really on a charge. And I think Deckens has got a tall order to try and reel him in. We can see Deckens there in P7, so he's doing an excellent job here at Fuji as well, putting himself up into the mix in the pros. But certainly them two in the Pro-Ams that are fighting it out for that championship overall win at the moment are doing everything they possibly can. But Barron's being out on pole at the moment, what an astounding lap.
Yeah, what an absolutely mega lap there for the IGL Coatings driver. Just fantastic. As we see here, Martin Deckens working his way through down the Dunlop curve. We are taking that little chicane there at the end of the mini sort of back straightaway, let's call it. That is one of the signatures here of the track. You can run a layout where you don't run that, but obviously we are not running that here today. Ooh, little bit of a twitch there for Deckens, and that's going to find himself going off circuit there down through those final couple of corners. That is not the line you want to be running there, unfortunately for him. We check back here right now on one of the AM drivers, as this is Russ Fowler in the Mercedes. We've seen that Mercedes really be the favored car over the course of this season, and I've got to think with the straight line grunt that car has, it's going to be very, very powerful here today on the main straightaway.
It certainly is, but if you look at the timing tower, it's actually a good spread of cars at the front. There's only one Mercedes at the front at the moment. Then you've got a BMW, an Audi up there in third place at the moment. Then a big splattering of BMWs before we come down to seventh place for your next Mercedes. So maybe this round is maybe predominantly more for the BMWs, but it's great to see the core team there sticking with that Audi car and doing an excellent job flying the flag for the German manufacturer.
Indeed, as there goes Christoph Herbino up into third on the timing charts. That's a little bit more of what we have come to expect from the championship leader, putting in a good lap. And yeah, Winkler there for that core sim racing team in the Audis. That car is so tricky to be able to keep underneath you. Very, very twitchy at points, and certainly known for better changes in direction, not necessarily straight line speed. So really a testament there to Winkler's driving ability to be able to get that Audi up into the top 5. The next Audi, by the way, is Grossman, all the way back down in 13th as they run. We continue to follow Winkler here, though, or Herbino, rather, as he works his way around, trying to see if he's going to be able to improve here as he comes out of the corners. Now brings it into the heavy braking zone of that little flick back and forth.
Yeah, it definitely is. Super tight course, and it's all about the lines that you cut out on track to maximize and open up these turns. I mean, you can just see how many there are out on circuit today, and it's all going to be about who can hook up the best circuit, the lines around these tracks. And you can see there, and just clipping them sausages, the yellow sausage curbs on the outside there, and literally throwing the car up, just backing out of this lap. So them last two turns 15 and 16, is you've got to keep it on track, because they're the two corners that have them treacherous yellow curbs on the exits, so which could really hamper your lap. But it's going to be a fantastic race, and the very first one in Apex Racing TV history of a competitive race. So we're all entertained to what will be an hour-long extravaganza.
Yes, indeed. We will be. And we're going to actually take a quick break away here for a second. Just got a couple of technical difficulties that we've got to take care of. So we will be right back.
All right, cool.
It's
foggy, isn't it? Extremely foggy.
Yeah, it is. It's B format tonight, by the way.
Yeah, 2 30-minute races, isn't it?
Yep.
That's what I was going to say. I didn't know if you knew.
All right, welcome back to Fuji Speedway. Thank you for bearing with us through some of those technical gremlins that we had to sort out. We are ready here for the first race tonight. That's right, we've got the B format being run, so it is going to be a 30-minute race followed by another 30-minute race where we will invert the top 8. But before we get to that second race, let's run you through the qualifying order here. As we said, Jacob Behrens in the Pro-Am category, absolutely absolutely incredible, able to put that car up to the top of the charts. Behind him, it's going to be Jacob Toffs with Christoph Herbino and Mark Fletcher behind them. Carl Winkler and Tom Dadswell will make up row 3 with Kjetil Larson and the second Pro-Am driver of Martin Deckens in 8th. Chris Haynes lines up 9th, followed by Stuart Wyness with Kieran Smart and Nikolai Thrain rounding out your top 12. In 13th place, it's going to be Greg Hubler, I believe, and then we move our way further down the field, getting into the meat of the Pro-Am category here. Ronald Grossman, Greg Hubler, Alexander Scarrett, Tommy Mullard, Gavin Gardner, Christoph Regenwetter, Thomas Cope, surprisingly all the way down in 19th, Matthew Crisp, Otter Holt, the first of your AM drivers, Penkava, Lang, and Sorensen. Moving our way down through the rest of that order, Fowler, Hugenhout, Verlest, Rance, Haug, Morrison, Wilcox, Sire, Shields, Pint, Marsani, and Engelhart rounding out your top 36. And then it's Mike Paluch, Genstenbracken, and Griffin, who will round out your 39-car field at this epic Japanese circuit. We work our way now on to that long front straightaway here, waiting for the iRacing pace car to pull off into the pits for the first of these 2 races here tonight. And the field will be controlled by Jacob Behrens when that pace car pulls off down pit lane. And there it goes, begins its scamper, and all eyes turn to Barney the Flagman here as we get ready to go racing in Fuji. And there goes the green. It's a brilliant start from Jacob Behrens. Look at that jump on the rest of the field, leaving the rest of the field trying to scramble to try to get themselves up. Christoph Herbino trying to make a little bit of a move there. We're 3-4 wide through the rest of the field. That's going to be Tom Dadswell thinking about a move around the outside. Herbino's going to try to lay back a little bit there as everybody filters their way down into that first corner. Everybody looking like they're relatively clean here, and I think we've made it through clean and green.
Yeah, definitely. This first lap's going to be all important for the drivers. You know, the tyres are going to be cold. It's a quite twisty track, so they really need to be careful of their entry speeds into these corners and not try to overshoot. But that was great work from the teammate there. Jacob Behrens got an excellent start off the grid, but his teammate, Keter, managing to go and jump another driver due to the fact that they're probably on the Discord and telling him when he's actually going to go. So great teamwork again from the RGL coating guys, and an excellent start of the race. And at the moment it's been relatively clean. Touch wood, no commentator's curse on this first lap, so all the cars managing to get through this. Oh, and there's a bit of an issue there in the background, and it was one of the IGL coatings team that seemed to have spun around that corner.
Yes, it was. It looks like a little bit of a problem there coming through the Dunlop curve. We focus here, though, on Kjetil Larson, trying to be able to move his way up through the field right now, looking to see where he can go at the moment. That is going to be Thomas Cope behind him. Cope just not having the season that we would have expected there from the reigning champion. That Lamborghini could be a little bit of the problem. Could just be the Cope not feeling it out here. But now we work our way onto this long front straightaway for the first time. That draft going to come into massive effect here. Going to be interesting to see. Tom Dadswell not looking like he's going to have it, but we've got a gaggle of cars here. This is Winkler, Deckens, Herbino, Danes, 3 wide coming down into the first corner. Who's going to be the latest of the late breakers? A little bit of side-by-side contact there for Herbino. It looks like that was going to be the 187, able to get a little bit of a move up and ahead. I think that was Chris Danes taking advantage there, and he's going to be able to slot his way ahead of Deckens, trying to see if he's going to be able to hold that out. Deckens there in the BMW. No, as they work their way through the right-hander, that's going to hold out for Deckens.
Yeah, Deckens, great move there. Well, he's trying to fight it over, but then Chris Danes just sniped them 2 positions into that first corner as the Deckens and Herbino went slightly wide into the first corner, so he managed to take both the cars and keep it out. But what I did know was Kjetil Larson has had an issue on that last lap. He is now back in the pits, down 29 positions from where he started, so he has had a terrible start to this first race here at Fuji Raceway, and only on lap number 2 as well, so that will really hamper his points. What we're looking at the moment with Thomas Cope, and like you said, really struggling this season. Thomas Cope, he was flying last season in that Lamborghini, but at the moment just able to manage to keep in P17th, and has a big gaggle of Pro-Am cars in front of him. Russ Fowler there at the moment is, I think he's top of the AMs at the moment. Yes, he is. He is top AM driver in 20th position. So I'm not sure what happened there. Greg Hubler seems to have had an incident, and he's piling down the order.
Yeah, not sure if that was necessarily some coming together or what that was, but we check here on Molyord. It looks like Thomas Cope and Lucas Lang going to try to swallow up that Lamborghini in front of them. They're going to go 3 wide. That's going to be a common phrase here today as Cope, not to be denied, gets the move on Molyord. Is he going to be able to pull that out? Lang tries to go along and make it a 2-for-1, but they're not going to be able to hold it out, and it looks like the 2 Lamborghinis are able to stay ahead of the Porsche there for the moment. So despite the fact that Cope had a little bit of a bad qualifying, certainly showing some good race pace here early on. Oh, as we've got a car slow, that's Chris Daines.
Yeah, Chris Daines, after his excellent start, just starting to feel the pace a little bit, cutting his lines slightly too tight into these corner, which is losing an absolute mountain of times. Deckens there, managing to get up into 6th place overall, so really mixing it out with this pro, but real big battle here with Urbanu, Smart and Thane. So Smart tries to go around the outside. Thane's trying to nip his tails on the inside, but then it opens up to a left and then a following by a right. So a real tight section, and I think, yeah, that was Thane there getting a slight tap by Kieran Smart, I think it was. Chris Daines it was, sorry, behind Nathaniel Thane there, getting just a little bit wrong coming out that corner, losing a little bit of time, but these cars, or this pack of car from Herbenu all the way down to Grossman, extremely close out on track.
Yes, they are, and a little bit more side by side here. Regenwetter and Lang trying to dice it up, going down into the last couple of corners as they pilot their way onto the main straightaway here. They're crucially not going to be that close up ahead, but we've got a side-by-side battle right now between Kieran Smart trying to get his way by Nikolai Thrain. Here comes Chris Daines trying to get that same momentum here. Looks like we've got a car coming out of pit lane there, and it looks like Daines is going to try to go for a 2-for-1. Down into the corner, little bit of contact there with Kieran Smart. They're still banging doors as they come out of that, going into the Coca-Cola curve here. Who's going to be the last late breakers there? It looks like that was Smart, but big contact! Big contact there between the two, and that is the Track Scotland driver off into the wall.
Yeah, I think obviously Kieran Smart just lost it coming around the Coca-Cola curve, coming sideways. Chris Daines really didn't have anything that he could do, and unfortunately just helped Kieran Smart move around. So we'll just have a quick look at the replay here, or just a little bit past that was. But yeah, so he lost it, and Chris Daines just tapped the back end, which spun him around a little bit more. As you can see, oh, he's done it again. He's spun again. So
I wonder if there's a wee... Yeah, I wonder if there's a wee bit of suspension damage on that car. But meanwhile, up at the front of the field, Jacob Behrens doing a good job to defend from toss here. That hard point by Delta Sport driver trying to put the pressure on Fletcher and Dadswell, both within striking range as well. Chris Daines, one of the movers and shakers here early on, has a bit of a problem. Let's go back and see what happens here. This is coming down. He caught those dreaded sausage curves.
Yeah, he got them dreaded sausage curve around turn number 15, and just see the effect there of what they did. Completely got the car off track, and he's stuck in no man's land, literally having to reverse back out off track to try and get on track. So Chris Daines, after his excellent start, finds himself down in 22nd position.
And it looks like he took a tow there, potentially. No, I think that was just a little bit of an internet mishap. As here's Lucas Lang and Gardner, and that's going to be Lang later on the binders there in that Porsche. Remember, we covered this earlier on. Lang didn't start the season in that car, opting for the Mercedes, but came back into the Porsche, just wanting to feel a little bit more at home. And really, since then, we've seen an improved pace there out of the German driver. Definitely feeling like he has settled back into a car that he loves.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just looking down the timing tower here, and our AM leader, Christian Otterholt, who had a massive lead in that AM championship, certainly had an issue in this opening race, down in 32nd position, 11 places off the leader. So he has certainly had an issue out on track in this opening couple of laps around this Fuji Speedway. Seems like it's a very easy track to get it wrong, and when you're in this heat of battling cars and you're going offline, then that's where the issues can be caused. But certainly all down at the moment. That up's very much a funny always, as we've got the BMW off there coming down. I think that's turn number 14 there, just crawling on the inside. I wasn't sure who that was. But this track catching quite a few of the drivers off, certainly in this last sector here, DJ.
Yeah, it's a combination of, I think, just carrying a little bit too much speed down into the corners, and then those dreaded sausage groups really coming back to bite. And that is one of the things that you've really got to watch out for around here is those corners. As you see drivers here doing a little bit of snaking like they're at the Indianapolis 500, trying to break that draft as much as possible. One driver who took advantage of the draft, though, that's Ronald Grossman, able to get his Audi up into P8 for the Core Sim Racing Legacy team.
Yeah, Grossman again, his qualifying just seems to suffer slightly, but during the race he is electric. I mean, we saw it at Montreal. He was just a man on a mission when he got out on track into the race, and so Ronald Grossman very much catching up a lot of positions during the race. He just needs to sort out his qualifying, and if he can, he will certainly be one of the front runners in this season. But at the moment, just heading out that field of Fane and Scarrett there in 9th and 10th. But just looking back from that is Lucas Lang in that ever familiar Porsche that we come to see Lucas driving. Obviously tried the Mercedes, didn't really get to grips with it, and moved back to the Porsche. So currently in P15 position, but quite a way off the leaders out in front.
A little bit of side-by-side there with Tommy Molyord and Stuart Wyness. Track Scotland versus one of the privateers, and it looks like the Lamborghini is going to come out on top for now as they come down the way through the hill into the left-hander here, trying to see what they're going to be able to do. That's Wyness trying to take a little bit of a poke there, trying to run it wide, and don't look now, but that's Christoph Regenwetter behind, getting very interested as well, trying to be able to get a little bit of a run as they work their way out of turn 15. And 16 and get onto the main straightaway. There you see Molyord immediately popping over to the right-hand side of the track, trying to deny that draft as much as possible down this massively long straightaway. Oh my goodness! This is with Gardner and Lang, and I think that's Regenwetter directly ahead of them. This is an all kinds of kerfluffle almost as they came onto the straightaway.
Yeah, definitely. Luckily, they sorted themselves out before first turning, but that could have been absolute carnage with 4 cars literally just battling over the same track space out on track. I mean, it's a tough one, this track as well, DJ. I mean, you've got to look at setups because obviously you want a fast setup for that start-finish straight, but with Sector 2 and 3 being extremely close, it's going to be interesting to see at the end, and maybe we can get a few insights from the driver what they went with on the setups, because, you know, you want that low setup for the start-finish straight, but you want a high downforce setup for the tight twisty section, which is pretty much the majority of the track. So it'll be interesting to see what the drivers actually went for at this Fuji Raceway.
It'll be very interesting indeed, and if you want to get a good setup to be able to run a track like Fuji or any other one, oh my goodness, a massive coming together there. That looks like Regenwetter taken out as they ran down into the braking zone for the Dunlop corner. Many, many drivers involved. Oh my goodness, this was a definite kerfluffle here. We watch Christoph Regenwetter coming down into the corner. That's Lucas Lang directly ahead of him. Looks like a dive down to the inside for the Ferrari. Oh, little bit of ghost contact there between teammates.
Yeah, absolute terrible there. You know, the car behind just literally overspeeding that corner, tried to avoid him, and the dreaded netcode, and unfortunately it was his own teammate that he spun around. So Low Grip Racing team there suffering a little bit between the netcode, and obviously the teams just got a little bit too deep into that corner. But out in front, Jacob Barrett still managing to keep off Toffs in second and Mark Fletcher in third. I mean, where does he find his speed, Jacob Behrens? I mean, he's just been on fire. Well, I mean, I remember when we got him into the commentary booth last week, he said he's never raced around Fuji, but certainly seems to have the right setup and certainly seems to have a lot of pace around here.
Yeah, it certainly does. And as I was saying, if you want to get one of the setups here that's maximized for downforce or maximized for high speed, go ahead and check out Virtual Racing School. You can improve your on-track performance with over 50-plus data packs for both road and oval racing. There are setups, track guides, data analysis software, and one-on-one coaching. So make sure to go over ahead and check out VRS to be able to maximize your performance around the track. And there he goes as we continue to watch Jacob Behrens working his way around, holding that at bay. But I've got to say here, this is not out of the woods yet, as Mark Fletcher and Tom Dadswell, and there you see just how close these top 4 are really running together.
Yeah, certainly. The first four have managed to break away from Martin Deckens in 5th place, the Pro-Am driver. So a big gap between 4th and 5th. But Deckens has got a little bit of company from Winkler behind him in 6th. And Herbin, who's trying to close up that gap on there. But we're looking down here as Mark Fletcher takes a dive down the inside, managing to get Toffs into the first corner. Can he keep it? Yes, he can. So there is Mark Fletcher, the BMW driver, up to 2nd place.
And a little bit more side-by-side there in the back. That's Thomas Cope and Alexander Scarrett, and it looks like Cope going to be able to gain a position. That's going to move the number 1 up into the top 10. A little bit of a wide run there going through that first corner, but he's able to keep that Lamborghini pointed the right way. Up ahead of him, that's Nikolai Thrain and Ronald Grossman, and this is going to be music to the eyes here of Thomas Cope as they run very, very close to one another. More a little bit of side-by-side here, a little bit further back in the field. This is Adam Morrison for the Track Scotland team, holding off Mike Paluch there with Verhelst up ahead of him.
Yeah, definitely is. There's little mini pocket battles again forming throughout the field, and this is the battle here for 22nd position. Van Helowitz there in 22nd. Adam Morrison just behind him in the Track Scotland car. Michael Powlich there in 24th position. Powlich just taking over there. Great move over Morrison, so he moves up a position to 23rd. Still a bit off the pro field, but we do find that in these races, a couple of the pros seem to struggle on each one of these tracks, and they seem to be getting into a lot of battles between AMs and Pro-Am races.
Yeah, they really do, and I think it's we're not seeing the same pro drivers every week in these struggles, so I really kind of put this up to just different tracks, and Andy, you know as well as I that, you know, each track just has a different flavor, a different feel to it, and sometimes you just can't find that rhythm.
It is, and it's all about practice. I mean, these pro drivers are very good at the tracks that they know and feel that probably half the time they don't need to practice the obvious tracks like Spa, Hockenheimring, on iRacing. But this is a brand new track, so, you know, they can't go with the same mentality of saying, well, I'm a pro driver, I've got a decent I rating, so I know I'm going to be quick. Because if you don't put in the practice in these events, and Behrens is doing a cracking job here showing the rest of the field, a Pro-Am driver at the moment 1.5 seconds ahead of Mark Fletcher, who's having a real battle at the moment between Toffs and Dadswell to take that 2nd position. And they're 3 world-class pro drivers. Oh, as we see another IGL Coatings car spun around there in turn number 15th, gone back to the pits. I believe that is Lars Sorensen. So, you know, Jacob Behrens at the moment is flying the flag for the IGL Coatings. The rest of the team really struggling. And they've Larson's back in the pits. And then we've got the rest of the team in 30th position and backwards. So, you know, I don't know what's happened to them team, because they're normally right at the front of the field.
Yeah, they are, and, you know, I'm wondering if a little bit of that could be the Mercedes. As you said, this appears to be a pretty BMW-heavy track. Indeed, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th right now. Running the BMWs right now is there's another that looked like a BMW off track right there. That's Nikolai Thrain, who was involved in that battle that we saw earlier. Let's take a look here at the replay, trying to close up behind Carl Winkler. Caught a little bit of the sausage curbs there, went a little bit wide, and just carried a hair too much speed. Did Cope sneak through? No, he didn't. Cope gets involved in it, as does the 215 there. So plenty of drivers coming to blows there, unfortunately. It was Scarrett for the IGL Coatings machine.
Yeah, definitely, and them sausage curbs are absolutely treacherous, because you saw Nikolai Thrain hit the sausage curbs, the yellow sausage curbs on the inside, and literally his car was out of shape for the next corner, and he just lost it. And unfortunately, you know, Thomas Cope and Scarrett were innocent bystanders, but didn't really help there to going over them corners. But it's such a treacherous track. I mean, it's great to view the lines that the drivers are trying to cut, being a brand new course, to understand where the maximum speed is. But them great additions of them yellow sausage curbs seem to be playing havoc with some of these drivers.
Ooh, and speaking of havoc there for the drivers, that looks like Toff's in a world of hurt as Fletcher's able to get up on by him, and now Tom Dadswell trying to put the pressure to the Delta Sport driver as much as possible. It looks like Toff's is going to be able to hold on to that third position for now, but he did lose one here to the Altitude Esports driver and the number 111 of Mark Fletcher. Fletcher putting the moves on, but here comes that long straightaway. Fletcher moving back to the racing line there, and here we ride on board with Dadswell. Is he going to have a little bit of a move to split the difference? A little bit of a defensive pinch there from Jacob Toffs. I think that's going to hold him at bay for now, and Toffs goes back on through up into P2.
Yeah, that was a nice little hit there from Dadswell to Toffs to give him that extra speed going into the first corner, but Toffs doing an excellent defensive job there, just boxing in Dadswell to not give him the opportunity to get a double move there done. So a great move from Toffs, and obviously not only did he have the bonus to keep that position, he did actually manage to take that second place. But with these three fighting at the moment, look at the lead that Behrens has opened up at the front, 3.3 seconds, only a minute and a half left of this race to go. So this +1 I would imagine would be in, but certainly watching a close battle out on track at the moment. Lucas Lang, Tommy Mjord, and Gardner has got the ringside seat and just ready to pick the bells. Oh, as we see the Lamborghini get a little bit twitchy out of the corner, manages to keep the position, but he is putting Lucas Lang under all sorts of pressure. Is the Pro-Am driver there of Tommy Malloy there, but Gardner's at the back just waiting on his opportunity to try and make a double move as he makes a move up the inside there. Has he managed to get it done? Oh, it's going to be close. It's going to be side by side coming through this tight hairpin. Unfortunately, loses out there, but a great bit of racing there between these three drivers.
Absolutely fantastic, but the one detriment to all of that is look what it's allowed to have happen. Russ Fowler, Martin Pencava, and Chris Daines really able to pull up back to the back of this pack here. There you can see them running in, and so what was a 3-car battle now is about a 5-6-car battle as they run. We look back up at the front here, Jacob Toffs trying to defend that, get that position, and he's got it. He's going to be able to hold on to P2 there, but about 2.7 seconds up the road to Jacob Behrens. We check back here as Gavin Gardner tries to be able to get a little bit of a move here. Excuse me, this is Tommy Mollyor trying to get a little bit of a move here on Lucas Lang. He's going to poke that Lamborghini's nose to the outside, trying to see if he's able to get anything. They go down into the corner, almost a little bit of side-to-side contact. Lang getting his elbows out here early, looking for the crossover is Mollyor, and he may just have it as they work their way up the hill toward the Coca-Cola curve, but the line's going to favor back to Lucas Lang. Lang holds it out and holds the lead.
Yeah, it definitely was. It was like Noah's Ark coming down into that corner. You had Lang and Mollard, Gardner and Fowler and Pencava and Chris Daines all coming side by side, coming down into that first corner, managing. Oh, as we have a spinner in the background. Who's that? It's Martin Pencava getting it slightly wrong, facing the wrong way on the track, having to lose a lot more positions. Not sure what happened there, but that was a lot of issues. I'm just hearing from the drivers they believe that that was possibly a netcode issue. So if that is the case, we've had 2 netcode issues here out on track, but coming down certainly towards the tail end of this first race. And DJ, this has just been a war of attrition out on track. There's been so much racing, and that start-finish straight has lived up to its expectations.
It certainly has. This Fuji circuit, absolutely incredible to be able to see out on track. And if you want to be able to master this track, much like we're seeing the drivers out on track, dude, go ahead and check out Apex Racing Academy. 29 data packs with setups, track guides, and more, plus weekly coaching sessions, and it integrates with VRS. So go ahead and check that out and get the mastery of this circuit like we're seeing drivers like Jacob Toffs have right now. Toffs, who is still staunchly defending from Fletcher. Oh my goodness, look at this, though, side by side between Lang and Mollyor. A little bit of argy-bargy coming down into the corner. Later onto the binders there is Mollyor, but he overshoots, and Lucas Lang says thank you very much, and look at that, Gavin Gardner wants a little bit more too.
Yeah, he definitely did, and that was an ambitious move there from Mollord, and really hung himself out to drive around the first corner, giving Gardner the opportunity to just sneak up his inside. So his battling with Lang will have to hold on for a couple more laps as he has the Ferrari driver now in between himself and Tommy Mollord. But great battle here. Oh, look at that! Is that a back marker?
No, that's Chris Daines. Chris Daines out of nowhere making that move. Oh my goodness, talk about opportunistic.
definitely is. And now Russ Fowler is lining up Tommy Molloy. He's not had the best of laps here, losing 2 positions in this lap. And Russ Fowler there, our top AM driver at the moment, is lining him up as well for possibly a pass coming down the start-finish straight. But you can see how close this tight pack is from P10 all the way down to sort of P17th, all in a big long line, and the opportunities are there. But being this close racing out on this track as we've seen it in this race is that, you know, one car has a spin, then it could produce a domino effect down the field. But we're on board now with Lucas Lang looking back at Gardner, who's just looking at that overspeed. Look at that slipstream effect. Lucas Lang can't do anything about that, and Gardner takes P10.
Yes, he does. The question here is going to be is if Lang can force the same kind of mistake that we've seen him force earlier. Whoa, Chris Daines! Chris Daines gets in late on the braking, takes out Lucas Lang. In the process, that BMW looking very, very twitchy as they dove down into the corner, and that is going to be both drivers falling well down through the field into 19th and 20th.
Lucas Lang looks like he's got a bit of damage to that Ferrari. I mean, that was... Oh, there's another one here. Mike Pincava. Is that the incident from earlier, or is that a carbon copy?
That's a carbon copy there, and unfortunately, Pincava going to have to go back into the garage there, it looks like. We focus back now on third place in the AM category. Adam Morrison for Track Scotland in that BMW, currently holding off Jose Wilcox in the Lamborghini, and Luke Pint there behind as well. So some very, very close running here, still all the way through the field, and we've only got about 6 minutes left to go in this race.
Yeah, it definitely was. I got my time was all mixed up at the start. I thought it was a 20-minute race, this one, but gave us that extra 10 minutes of racing, so I'm thankful of that. But I mean, it's just battles throughout the field. We're looking at Adam Morrison at the moment in P20th, but he's got Wilcox, Pin Otterholt, who's made a great recovery at the moment there in 23rd position after his terrible start to the race. So he needs to just try and gain up a few more positions, because the first person in the AM at the moment is Russ Fowler, who's getting valuable points over him, 11 places ahead, and I think that's probably what's needed to make that AM championship super close on there. But we're looking at Regenware Paulus just diving down his inside, coming down here into turn 1. Easy move. You just see the power of that strip seam on this super long straight. It's immense.
Yeah, it really and truly is. And as you said earlier, one of the longest straightaways in the world, and a true straightaway at that, as opposed to that of Baku, which curves and twists a little bit. But here comes Jose Wilcox down to the inside of Adam Morrison. The Spanish driver able to get a good move done there, and he has got that position. That is going to be for 20th overall. The Pro-Am driver able to move his way up there with a clean move. About 4.5 minutes here to go in race 1. We'll have another race following this, as we've got a little bit more side by side. That's Gunsterbrocken, Larson, and Thrain. Everybody duking it out here. As you said earlier, this is really where the meat of that IGO Coatings e-racing team is. They're farther back down in the field. Jacob Barron's really holding the flag for this team today.
Certainly is. It won't pay dividends for them in the team championship, which we saw them massively ahead. So they have got a decent cushion at the front of the teams championship, but certainly where they probably weren't expecting to be. But I mean, it's sort of paid into what I was saying on the track guide of this track. The massive overtaking place of the start-finish straights. The rest of the circuits, it's very treacherous, and you've got to be really confident to make a passing move anywhere bar the first corner and coming out at the last corner, because it's just so treacherous. As we watch here, a replay. Toft coming around here. Is that, oh, a bit of a collision there between Tofts. I think that's Mark Fletcher. Yes, it is. Gives Tom Dadswell the opportunity to go up into second place in this race. So Tom Dadswell takes over your second place. We'll have a decent lead over Tofts and Fletcher, who are now fighting over third and fourth.
Yes, they will, and I've got to say I'm going to put a little bit of the blame there on Mark Fletcher. It looks like he just drifted out a little bit wide there. Tofts gave him plenty of room coming through the corner, and Fletcher, I think, just misjudged that braking zone ever so slightly, but that's really going to separate the battle up at the top of the charts right now. I am seeing Christian Engelhart down pit lane. Not sure what that's about. A little bit more side-by-side here back in the field. Morrison working and getting past there by Luke Pint. Now that is crucial. That is for, I believe, that is for fourth in the AM category. So that's some valuable points there between those two drivers.
Yeah, look at Otto Holt managing to leapfrog Pint Morrison to get that second place in the AM Championship. P20th at the moment, 6 places behind Russ Fowler, who's up there, the leading AM in 14th at the moment. But what we haven't talked about again is that reverse grid for race number 2, as we watch Adam Morrison making a dive around the outside, which won't pay off there for Pint. So him and Pint are having a real good battle. But that reverse grid pole for race number 2 at the moment, Grossman is going to be out on pole position, so it's going to be interesting to see what that Audi driver can do, because we've seen him not be the best in qualifying, but when it gets to the race scenario, he is extra fast out on track. So I'm expecting a really good race at the moment if he can manage to stick to that P8 position.
I am as well. We've got a little bit more side-by-side here. Chris Rance trying to go down to the inside there of the 233 of Russ Fowler. Or, excuse me, that's Tommy Molyard being able to get around Chris Rance. Russ Fowler hoping in behind, looking for something, looking for anything as they run. It doesn't look like there that anybody's going to be able to have much of anything. Mike Paluch, excuse me, there in the Audi. Ooh, little bit offline there. That's not going to help him. He is able to square up the corner a little bit and close back in behind.
Yeah, that was a great move there by Tommy Molloy to get that move done over Chris Rance in P12. I thought he might have got a little bit too deep into turn number 1, but managed to keep the power on, using a little bit of the outside of the track to maintain that position. But now he is opened up for an opportunity to pass as Rance just tries to look around the outside. Not really a lot to go, but what it has done now is let the Audi driver come up alongside him. So that's what you've got to be really cautious of around here. If you go offline trying an optimistic pass, then you're in a close battle like we just saw out on track. Powlett's just able to carry that overspeed into the corner and easily breeze past Chris Rance.
Yes, he was. And now as we tick with 30 seconds left to go here in the first race at Fuji Speedway, the battle still continues to be intense. Here is Adam Morrison trying to close back in on the back of Pint. Here is Lee Shields back down in 27th position. He's in a little bit of an island unto himself. Lucas Lang, remember, was running very higher up in the field, but had that contact with some of the drivers around him that sent him back down. Gavin Gardner, here's a whole gaggle coming down the front straightaway. This is Tommy Molyard, and that is going to be Paluch trying to get something on him. Not going to be able to happen, but this is the last lap for these drivers. Yeah,
it definitely is. Powlett's being really quick in that Audi at the moment, trying an alternate line, just going a little bit slower into turn 1 and trying to do the undercut on Molloyd in front, but didn't quite manage to get it done. So these 4 cars at the moment just battling out on track. As you can see there, the Audi now, I think his tyres may be starting to go, because you can see him braking a lot more around the corners where a lot of the other cars are not.
Yeah, and that is one of the things of that Audi. It does slip and slide quite a bit, and so the tires can wear off quite easily. But there you see him just still trying to close in on the back of Molyard up ahead of him. We keep our eyes focused on Chris Rance, though, who's hoping to maybe take a little bit of a different approach, trying to square off the corner. But there goes Jacob Behrens across the line. He will take victory here in Fuji, a commanding win for the Pro-Am driver.
Yeah, pole position, led from start from finish. Got a bit of fortune with that battle between Dadswell, Toft and Fletcher in the back. Oh, as we see Tommy Molloyd's just spinning it in the second to last corner. So he was on for a good result, and unfortunately he's just all undone it on the last couple of corners. But that gives Michael Powledge the P11th points over there. Rance in 12th, and Fowler, your top AM, there coming along in 13th. Haig, the second of your AM drivers, in 15th. And Otto, what a great recovery drive from him back from the back of the grid. I think he was about 7th or 8th in class when I looked at him, and now he's managed to get his way all the way back up to P19.
Leon Verhelst trying to get that last bit of draft, and it's not going to play out there for the Porsche driver, unfortunately. We look a little further back down into the field. Nikolai Thrain for the Alcontech NHR machine, trying to see if he's going to be able to get anything on Kjetil Larsen. It looks like that's going to be just a little bit too much to ask for here, as indeed they will cross over the line 24th and 25th.
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, it's what a first race around here. Great racetrack, you know, but the drivers really now know what this track has come to bear. That start-finish straight, super powerful, but then you have that really tight outfield section of the track, pretty much from turn number 3 all the way to the end. It's a single line track, single racing line through that part of the circuit. And we've seen quite a few drivers just trying to do optimistic moves, either spinning off themselves or losing positions the car behind. So it's going to be super interesting for this second 30-minute race.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there. And now drivers are able to head out on track for about a 3-minute warm-up right now, or just a 3-minute break, as I think most of them are probably going to opt to be able to do before we get ready to go here for the second 30-minute race that we have on the docket. But before we get to that, we are going to take a quick break and pay the bills with a couple of ads.
Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Welcome back to Fuji Speedway. Drivers currently taking a little bit of a break here for about 3 minutes before they get ready to going out on track for the second race here tonight. But before we get to that, let's go ahead and run you through that final finishing order around Fuji for that first race. As you can see there, Jacob Barron's able to take the top over Tom Dadswell and Jacob Toffs. Mark Fletcher, Martin Deckens, Carl Winkler, Christoph Herbino, and Ronald Grossman round out your crucial top 8, as those will be the ones inverted for race 2. Behind them, it's Alexander Scarrett, Gavin Gardner, Mike Paluch, Chris Rance, Russ Fowler, and Christoph Regenwetter, with Gordon Haug rounding out your top 15. Tommy Molyord was in 16th, followed by Leon Verhest. Stuart Wyness was in 18th. Back down in 19th position. There you can see the rest of that. It was Christoph Otterholt who was able to take 3rd in the AM category. Jose Wilcox, Luke Pint, Adam Morrison, Kieran Smart, Ketiel Larson, Nikolai Thrain, Mats Gunstenbrecken, Renee Hugenhout, and Lee Shields rounding out your top 28. 29th was Lucas Lang, following that incident that he had earlier on. Then it was Christian Engelhart, Matthew Chris, Matt Sire, Martin Pencava, Chris Daines, Thomas Cope, Lasse Sorensen, Greg Hubler, and Sandro Marsani. They'll round out your 38-car grid. And Andy, as we said, this is going to be a little bit interesting. Those top 8 reversed here, and so that's going to throw things for a little bit of a loop.
Yeah, it certainly is. Obviously, you got Ronald Grossman at the front of the field for this race, so it'll be interesting to see what the Audi driver can do out front. Obviously, normally normally a bit further back in the field with poorer qualifying than the rest of the field, but be interesting to see with Herbenu right next to him, the Pro-Am current leader standing. So it's going to be interesting, but I'm certainly looking at Behrens at the moment to see what he can do. I mean, he just showed his class in that first race. Got a little bit of advantage to that heated battle for second place, which gave him a little bit of a go. But yeah, the first half of that race was still managing to hold the pro drivers at bay. So it's going to be interesting. But the drivers now know a little bit more about this track and the race conditions. So let's see if the yeeting that we saw in a couple of the drivers in the first race still persists, or they've learned from their mistakes.
Yeah, we'll have to see indeed. We ride on board with the winner of the last race, the Pro-Am driver up, Jacob Behrens right now for IGL Coatings, racing number 1. He's going to be starting from 8th position here as they go, and so that's going to be a little bit of a move there. We'll have to see if that car has the speed to run in traffic as well as being in out front. Right now, all eyes go to Ronald Grossman as we work our way down through the Panasonic corner, that final corner here that leads us on to this long, massive main straightaway as the field forms up behind them. Waiting to see the Porsche pace car here ready to make its scamper down pit lane and give the control of the field over to Ronald Grossman. Christoph Herbeno, another driver to watch there, your championship leader, starting off in P2 right now. You can see he's staggered a little bit, wanting to make sure he can get the best jump that he can. There goes the pace car. All eyes go to the German Audi right now as we keep our eyes focused. Holding a little bit of a long time here is Ronald Grossman, waiting for him to get on the loud pedal. And there he goes. We are racing in Fuji. It is a decent start there from Grossman, but I've got to think there that Herbeno looking to be able to come back a little bit more. We've got a lot of drivers looking very, very aggressive going down into the first corner, and it's going to be from third place, Carl Winkler that's going to lead down into the first corner. Herbeno follows him on through. That is going to be Grossman down 2 positions already, and my goodness, the race is on.
It certainly is. Obviously there we saw Carl Winkler getting a perfect slipstream off his team member Grossman, obviously letting him know when he'd gone away, but Grossman got a really good start at that slipstream. Even after that short run down to the field, still managed to pull Carl past the Herbenu and Ronald Grossman to get that first place, and he's just shot off at the moment. The battle certainly seems to be for the second. Ronald Grossman holding off Mark Fletcher at the moment, who's managed to jump Christopher Herbenu. So Herbenu down, please races. Oh no! Absolute terrible. Ronald Grossman there coming off. Mark Fletcher there involved in the incident coming. Oh, real bad entrance back onto the track as well, Ronald Grossman. So going from pole position by the end of the lap, he's going to be down into round about P19th. That was absolutely crazy.
Yes, it was, and I've got to put a little blame on Fletcher there. That looked like he got into the side there of Grossman, but what that's effectively going to do is that's going to separate out just a little bit this battle at the front of the field. Herbeno now running into a little bit of an island unto himself. He's got about a half a tenth up ahead of Martin Deckens, who we ride and check out right now. Dadswell and Toffs trying to close in behind, but Winkler absolutely checked out as it looks like we've got one of the Audis. That's Mike Paluch coming down pit lane.
Yeah, it definitely is, but you see the cars there all in a big, long train using this slipstream to maximum effect. 3 wide there, just slightly in the background, but you can sort of see how close the cars get to each other out on track. The real advantage of that start-finish straight will start to come into effect here from lap number 2. So we can see here Tom Dadswell having a little bit of a look here between Scarrett. Garrett just getting on the inside, managing to hold off Toffs there at the moment. So Behrens moved up 3 places to P5 behind his championship rival Deckens in 4th place at the moment. So the Pro-Am's having a really good start to this race. Deckens not really. Behrens just goes down the inside. Deckens going extremely wide around that corner. Not sure what happened there, but he just literally let Toffs, Fletcher, Garrett through. So down 4 places from 1 corner. I'm not quite sure what happened there.
I wonder if potentially that was a slowdown penalty and he had to bleed some time. I'm not entirely sure where he would have picked that up, but that's the only logical explanation that I can give. We focus a little bit further back in the field. This is Leon Verhulst here for Fast and Fuelless Racing. Christoph Otterholt trying to close in behind there in that BMW. A nice little gaggle behind them with Rance, Smart, and Thrain. All of them trying to get a position around one another. Looks like a little bit of a move down to the inside for Christoph Regenwetter, trying to really diamond off that corner. And don't look now, but your reigning champion, Thomas Cope, directly behind Regenwetter. He's going to be hoping to move himself up out of the 20th position.
Yeah, out 15 places, Thomas Cope there. Our biggest starter, Samuel Masani, behind in P21, up 17 places from where we started. So you can see all the carnage in the opening laps here in this second 30-minute race has really catapulted a few of the drivers up. Chris Rouse just hanging out to dry there. He's going to lose another place if he's not careful. To Thane behind him if he can't get out, but just manages to get back on the power. So only loses one position to Kieran Smart in P16.
All right, that's lucky there for him as they now work their way up and over the hill. Ooh, lots of drivers taking full advantage of the runoff there. That's for sure going to be a 1X for them as they now work their way down through the sweeping right-hander. We check in on Martin Penkava as he works his way down through the corner, trying to see if there's anything. A little bit of a defensive line there. Kjetil Larsen behind him in that Mercedes, thinking about a little bit of a move as they continue to work their way through this fiddly mid-section of the track. We're going to check here on Chris Rance, the driver of the 223 Porsche, and a big send from Nikolai Thrain down into the Dunlop corner and gets it done in the BMW.
Yeah, they did. Nearly lost another place to Regenwetter behind, but he has got Thomas Cope up the inside. Thomas Cope taking another position there to P19, taking the Regenwetter. So he is now chasing down the Porsche of Chris Rance in front. So having a better second race here. Oh no, Regenwetter just loses it on the corner. I'm not sure if that was a slight tap there from Chris Rance, but that has caused a catalogue effect down the field. And I think it was about 3 or 4 drivers that actually went off there. So we're looking here. So Chris Regenwetter, yeah, gets a slight little touch from behind. And then the carnage ensues. 3 drivers there off the track at the moment. So that was Regenwetter. I think that is Penkava as well. I'm not sure who that other BMW is there at the moment, but 3 BMWs all coming a cropper around that turn number 16.
Yes, indeed, and you really hate to see that here, but it is a little bit of a gift to Thomas Cope, who now has a little bit more breathing room. Only Chris Dane's behind him. And we check back up on the battle for the lead, though, because Carl Winkler finds himself under a world of pressure from your championship leader, Christoph Herbeno. Herbeno facing around here, trying to find as much room as he can. BMW versus Audi here. We haven't seen Herbeno win in a couple of rounds here, and I think he's going to be eager to get back to his winning ways.
He certainly is, and I think it's become a factor of Chris Herbenu is that if he's in a battle with about 3 or 4 cars, he seems to sort of struggle to find his lines. But as soon as he gets into a one-on-one car battle, he seems to be supreme, as we saw there. Herbenu just breezing past Winkler before the end of the lap. We'll be open to Winkler coming down the start-finish straight, but Herbenu at the moment certainly seems to be on track for another race win.
Yes, he does, and as he slips away there, hopefully into the distance, he's going to be checking that relative box to be able to see how much time he's got. We check a line on board here with Russ Fowler, trying to close down on Stuart Wyness, the Track Scotland driver directly up ahead of him. This is a battle for P10 as now we work our way onto the main straightaway, and the draft becomes even more prevalent.
Yeah, we'll just have a look on here with Russ Fowler as he's right behind Stuart Wyness just to see that closing speed. So not really closing up at the moment, but really comes into its own down the second half of the straight. But Wyness will have a slipstream of Tommy Malloyd, so sort of negating the effect that Russ Fowler might be able to make. Has he got? Yes, he does have Tommy Malloyd. Oh, was just looking down the inside there was Fowler. Stuart Wyness give him a slight opening into turn 1, but doesn't quite get the move done. But Russ Fowler, your top AM driver, currently in P11, but does have Haig and Otterholt behind him for company.
Yeah, with only 7 minutes down in this race, it continues to be a very, very close running for everybody. Nobody really able to get a full breakaway quite here yet. Is indeed Christoph Herbeno, your leader of the race, who we thought may have been able to streak away, finds himself under pressure here from Carl Winkler.
Yeah, Carl Winkler all over the back of Herbenu at the moment, getting real big effect of that slipstream down the start-finish straight. So Herbenu not able to scamper away because Winkler doesn't have any sort of worries behind him at the moment. And look at who is behind him, by the way. It's Behrens. Behrens moving up 5 positions in this race of becoming P3. So he should join on to the back of this group very shortly. And if they continue to battle out front, Herbinu and Winkler, Behrens will be on him, but he's sort of pulling along with him. Dadswell, Toffs and Fletcher. So certainly now it's going to become a 6-horse race for who's going to win this second 30-minute race here around Fuji Speedway.
Yeah, it is. And remember, we saw a very similar play out to this earlier on in the first races. There goes Toffs down to the inside of Fletcher. Is he going to be able to hold on to that move? Excuse me, that's Dadswell up ahead of him. Fletcher holding in behind. And it looks like that's going to be Toffs eking ahead, forcing Dadswell a little bit line. And Fletcher behind him says, thank you very much. I'll take that as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's just a common thing. Always you see an incident there with one of the RGL coaching team around turn number 1, spinning it. Let's see who that was. That was Christoph Alterholt. So he's had an absolute... let's see what happens here. He just gets a slight tap. So our top AM driver in both races have had an incident out on track. This is paying into Russ Fowler's hands at the moment. He was the top of the AM field. I'm not sure. Where did he actually rejoin there?
I'm not entirely sure. It is certainly far down the order. 31st there for Christopher Otterholt. That is an absolute heartbreak there for the driver of the 399.
Yeah, it definitely is. And the thing with Otterholt, he's already taken 2 drop rounds with 0 scores, so he cannot lose any more points in this championship. He can't have this as a drop round, so whatever he scores from now on to the end of the seasons will his points he will take to the championship. So really put himself under a little bit of pressure by taking them 2 rounds where he didn't come on to the track. So really put himself under a little bit of pressure. Does have a big lead in that AM championship, but this will certainly make it interesting going into the closing half of this season.
Yes, it certainly will. As we check back in on the battle up at the front of the field there, it looks like Jacob Behrens, the Pro-Am driver, gonna get an easy move done on Carl Winkler going down into turn 1. That'll move the Pro-Am driver up into P2 overall. There you can see the view out back behind the wing of that Mercedes-AMG GT3 Evo as he works his way through. Winkler gonna try to be able to close in behind, but I've got to think the legs of that Mercedes may help him out here.
Yeah, just looking at the YouTube chat, and indeed Deckens did have a slowdown where we saw him get passed by 4 card, had to avoid Dadswell there from Dupatton. So thanks for the update there, Dupatton, that in fact Deckens did have a slowdown on that opening lap while he lost them 4 places.
Thank you to the YouTube chat for being able to give us that information. We've only got 2 pairs of eyes, multiple screens in between the 2 of us, but we can only see so much as we watch Mark Fletcher here running behind Jacob Toffs. This the battle for P2 effectively, as Herbino does have a little bit of breathing room up in front of him to the tune of about 9/10 of a second here, but this battle for P3 right now, very, very much electric. Winkler leading Toffs, leading Fletcher. They run with a blanket thrown over the 3 of them.
It certainly does. The 2 teammates at the back of this group of 4 at the moment really need to try and work together to make an opportunity for a passing move on the BMW, the Delta Sport BMW in front of Toffs. But they do have the slipstream. I think the one that's going to be open for an attack here is Carl Winkler there in 3rd place. We can see at the top of the screen Toffs just behind him and Fletcher behind him. So we can see there Toffs just closing that gap now, coming towards the start-finish line. Gives the easy opportunity for that inside line, but who's going to be the stronger on the brakes? And it is indeed Toffs. So pretty much Winkler gave that position up, but does manage to hold off Mark Fletcher there for 5th place.
Yeah, barely able to hold him off there, and it looks like we've got a little bit more side-by-side back in the field. That's Howe trying to get a little bit of a move there on Danes up in front of him, but I think that is going to be Chris Rance that's actually going to come out the best of that battle in that Porsche as he works his way now down through the Coca-Cola curve, trying to see what it is. Oh, or Noah's Ark a little further back in the field, side-by-side, as that's Morrison, Regenwetter, Wilcox up ahead of all of this, and Penkava and Otterholt. This is an absolute gaggle.
It certainly is. As you can see there, that BMW there, the Track Scotland of Alan Morrison's completely gone. So he will have a very much little front aero around this second half of the track. So I expect him to slide a little bit or go a little bit deep into the corner, but doing everything he can to be able to keep up with Christian Regenwetter there in P28. But certainly seems that Morrison's has been in quite a few battles, and we watch Ross Fowler here trying to make a move on Kieran Smart for P12 overall out on track. So the AM driver, the top AM driver, really sticking it to the pro driver in front of him, and this racetrack has certainly become a class neutralizer. I mean, you can sort of see the mix-up down the field with the pros. They're literally all spread out all the way down to P24 there of Thomas Coe, and it's insane how much these pros are spread out around this track.
Yeah, it really is, and I'll tell you one thing, it has produced fantastic action from flag to flag as we've got a side-by-side battle here between Kieran Smart and Nikolai Thrain going down into turn one. It looks like Smart's going to be later on the binders there, going into the corner, covers off the apex, and move Kieran Smart up into 11th. Ross Fowler there behind the leader in the AM category, tries to see if he can take a little bit of a piece, but that's not going to happen there for him, and now Wyness is going to be able to hope to streak away into the distance.
Yeah, that slipstream down that start-finish straight is insane. You're just a sitting duck if you're the car in front with no slipstreaming cars behind you. You know, you haven't got anywhere to go. The only thing you can possibly try to do is a defensive move into turn number one, take that right-hand side of the track, but you're pretty much open to the overspeed of the second car. So it's a little bit of tactics here as well when you're certainly coming in towards the tail end of the race. Is maybe you want to be that second car, so you do get a slight slipstream, but that slipstream really only comes into effect halfway down the grid, so you might not have the opportunity to make that pass and move before the checker flag. But we look here out front, Christopher Herbenew has managed to get a slight gap, 0.8 of a second, but Berrin's sort of keeping him honest there in second place, the Pro-Am driver. Toffs has managed to close the gap slightly to Berrin's in second place. Winkler there just behind, so a big long train all the way down to P6 at the moment at the front of this grid, and then there's a slight gap between P6 and P7. It's for a tune of 5 seconds, but we rejoin here. Lars Sorensen, the IGL Coatings number 280, is not having the best. I think the only one in that IGL Coatings team that's mastered this track at the moment is Berens. The rest of the team seem to be struggling a little bit on this Fuji Speedway.
Yeah, they certainly do, as we see Sorensen here trying to get a move on Christian Engelhart there, right up ahead of him in that 246 Lamborghini, waiting for the draft to come into play. Engelhart getting a little bit of helping of the draft in front of him, but there's the break for Sorensen. He's able to be a little bit later onto the binders, going down into the corner, and he gets it done. We now ride on board with Martin Pencava, who tries to go down to the first corner as well. That's a three-way battle between himself, Otterholt, and Jose Wilcox, and he is able to get it done. So a lot of those moves getting made down into that first corner. It's just a battle of being late on the binders. We've got a car around there in the back. That is Chris Rance.
It is, and I was just looking down the timing tower as well, and Thomas Cope has gone into the pits, but we'll have a look at a replay of here what happened to Chris Rance. Did he just slightly lose it on his own? It did. The tyres just gave up around that sweeping right-hander, and just spun the car out. So pretty strange. Probably just trying to put a little bit too much power around these corners, because a lot of these corners you have to hold on to the speed and keep it constant, and obviously that's not what Chris Rance did there, and unfortunately gave a little bit too much beans and spun the car around.
Yeah, very, very easy to do. And as you mentioned there is Thomas Cope having come in and out of the pit lane. Not sure why he did that, as pit stops not needed over the course of these two sprint sessions. So a little bit of a strange thing for the Olympus Esports driver. We'll have to figure out exactly what happened to him there. But yeah, very, very strange for the Lamborghini.
It is, and it's just going from bad to worse from Thomas. We did speak to him when he had a decent race once, and he was hoping that his season was going to change, but didn't quite. But we look at Lars Sorensen trying to make a move here on Hugenholt. Just manages to get it from come down into the first corner, but goes extremely wide, and has opened him up for Christian Engelhart behind to give the opportunity to pass, but not quite. Engelhart going down the inside, but thinking better of it and just leaking behind the IGL coatings of Lars Sorensen's. But yeah, these IGL team, it's very unorthodox of them. They're normally super clean, super fast, and they're just not feeling it out here today on this Fuji Speedway, DJ.
No, they certainly are not, but here comes Kieran Smart, a driver who is feeling it as he tries to send a little bit of a move going down into Dunlop there. We ride on board with the Track Scotland driver. That is his teammate Stuart Wyness directly up ahead of him. Tries to get a little bit of a battle going here with Tommy Molyord, and it doesn't look like that's going to pay out. He's going to have to wait for the draft to come into play here as they work their way through this sweeping couple of final corners here before working onto the left-hander. You can see him trying to line everything up, but he's got to worry about Danes behind him. That's another driver that could be. We jump back to the front of the field. Christoph Herbino trying to hold off Jacob Behrens behind. Behrens with a little bit of overspeed. He's going to be on the outside, unpreferred line, but we have seen drivers be able to sweep around the outside there. Herbino and Behrens both onto the binders, very close to one another. A little bit of side-by-side contact, and Herbino's going to be able to emerge out on top.
Certainly is. Herbino's in uncharted territory here, getting toward the mid to tail end of the races and having a car behind him, pushing him all the way. And that car is the Mercedes of Behrens there in second place, pushing him super hard at the moment. And Herbino will be like, what is this Pro-Am driver? Oh, as Herbino makes a mistake there, going extremely wide. And this could give an opportunity for both Behrens and Tofts, but his teammate just lets Herbino just took it into second place there. So an uncharacteristic mistake there from Herbino that gives Behrens the opportunity, and his teammate Tofts is trying to go up the inside on the outside. Behrens just closes the door on him. So these two Hard Sport by Delta Sport team members are really putting Behrens under a lot of pressure here. Behrens goes slightly wide coming out of the last corner, but manages to keep over that first place at the moment. So under a lot of pressure from Herbino and Tofts behind for P2 and P3, which gives the opportunity for Fletcher to try and close that gap up to these front three.
Yes, it does, and Fletcher's going to be keeping a close eye on that relative box, and if you want to be able to keep an eye on the best relative box in iRacing, go ahead and check out SDK Gaming. It adds a virtual live hunt to iRacing showing timing towers, enhanced relative boxes, mini-maps, fuel calcs, and more. You can stream to Twitch with the most complete overlay available, broadcast your league and series. SDK Gaming syncs with your commentary team, and you can adjust your team strategy on the fly. So check out SDK Gaming, as there we saw Tofts able to get that move over Herbino. A very, very smart play. I've got to think here with the gap that Herbino has out front, there's probably a little bit of team communication there between the two saying go ahead and go for it. But we check farther back in the field. Ketiel Larson for that IGL Coatings team holding off Russell Fowler there going down into the corner.
Yeah, Russ Fowler's doing an excellent job at the moment, first in race number 1, and is on for another first for the second race. So Russ Fowler will be getting some valuable points over his most rival in the AM Championship, Otto Holt, who has not had the best of starts in these first two races. We can see him there down in 25th position. So Russ Fowler will be closing that gap at the top of the Amateur Championship. But we're looking here at the moment with Christian Engelhart, a latecomer to the series, but a well-known driver in Apex Racing TV. He's done many GT3 cars, a very quick driver himself. But we look at the front of the grid again. Behrens coming under all sorts of pressure from Tofts in second place. Behrens just trying to hold off Tofts at the moment. He's doing all he possibly can, but coming under a load of pressure, but he's in the worst possible position here as Tofts got that slipstream down the start-finish straight. We're just looking back from Behrens at the moment, just waiting for him to Tofts to pull out as we see him there to come alongside him. But as he said, Behrens going super defensive down that inside lane on the right-hand side to close off the inside corner. So Tofts is going to have to go around the outside of the Mercedes here, around into turn number 1. And that is a great defensive line that Behrens has just taken there, holding off Tofts, and he had that slipstream effect all the way down that start-finish. So a great defensive job there from Behrens.
Yeah, that is exactly how you want to do it. You saw him just position that car to the inside, hold the line all the way down the main straightaway, and just slow the car up a little bit at the apex. We focus back here on Tommy Molyord trying to be able to get by Stuart Wyness right now. Lamborghini versus BMW as they work their way through the Coca-Cola curve right now. That left-hander that brings you right into 100R. A little bit farther in the back, here's Martin Penkava thinking about a little bit of a move here on Pint. More action. Lasse Sorensen working his way around right now, holding off Rene Hugenhout as, oh, that's a mistake from Behrens!
Oh, uncharacteristic mistake there, loses 2 positions, but now has got Fletcher all over the back of him to take that 3rd place off him. So let's have a look at what happened here. Coming down into the corner. Oh, it's Toff's going extremely late there, and unfortunately Toff's pushing Behrens slightly out wide, coming into Dunlop corner there. So with that late move from Toff's, pushing Behrens out, which obviously gave the opportunity for Herbenau to pass by. So Behrens moved down to 3rd place from a very late lunge there from Toff. So Behrens probably not too happy about that, but he's got to keep his eye on the game here now. He's got 8 minutes left. Well ahead of his next rival Deckens there in 7th place, and does have an opportunity for a double race win here. We've seen the speed that Behrens does have around this course, but with 2 teammates in front, it's going to be a hard task for him.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very tricky for him to try to be able to get his way by. I'll tell you what, though, Tommy Moyord trying to make a little bit of a move here on Stuart Wyness, almost side drafting down the front straightaway. They get onto the binders. It looks like Wyness has that preferred line. Is he going to be able to hold it? Moyord looking for a crossover, but not able to get it done. Well held there for the Track Scotland driver of Stuart Wyness, but I don't think this is done yet, as Moyord has a little bit of a think there into the Coca-Cola corner, but not going to let it play out.
No, I think a lot of the drivers now are realising that start-finish straight, you need to be on the right-hand side of the course to close off that exit on the inside line, because it's a lot harder to pass on turn number 1 on the outside. So we've seen a couple of drivers now getting super defensive on the right-hand side, and it's paid off for them, as we didn't see a defensive line there, and obviously we just saw a passing move. So really getting over onto that right-hand side of that start-finish straight if you are in front, to close off the door for that inside line into turn 1. But we join back up with this battle at the front of the race. It's a 6-horse race at the moment. You've got Toff's leading the race, Herbenau, his teammate, in 2nd place. Behrens, who was your leader a lap ago, but after a great move from Toff's, has moved down into 3rd. You've got Fletcher in 4th, Dadswell in 5th, and Carl Winkler, the Audi driver, at the back of this group. So only 6 minutes left of this race to go. So who is going to take this race win here in the 2nd race around Fuji Speedway?
Well, right now it's Christoph Herbenau leading that way, the championship leader up in front ahead of his teammate Toffs, but Behrens continues to threaten behind, and with only about 5 minutes left to go, let's call that 4, maybe 5 laps left to run. A little bit farther back in the field, we're going to have a little bit of 3 wide between Larson, Thrain, and Moyord. Who's going to be the latest breaker going down into the corner? A little bit of a pinch there to the BMW, and it looks like, oh, that was a little bit of a coming together there for Thrain, and he's going to lose out to Larson and Moyord.
Yeah, Thane there got very much squeezed out by the 2 drivers in front of him, getting that pinching movement around turn number 1, so losing out slightly there and losing a little bit of time to Molloyd in front of him. So we look on front from Toffs to his teammate, to Herbenau, who's taking the race lead at the moment, but he has Behrens literally just behind him at the moment on there. So these 2 teammates at the moment trying to work hard to neutralize that slipstream effect from Behrens down that start-finish straight, because that will really be coming into effect for Behrens.
Yeah, it certainly will, getting a big benefit of the double draft as they now work their way through the Panasonic corner, the final corner on this circuit, waiting to see what they're going to be able to do. It looks like Toffs has lost a little bit of time there to Behrens behind him, and he may be in the danger zone of getting overtaken, and that's the last thing that these hardpoint by Delta Sport drivers really want to have happen. They do not want to have Behrens splitting the difference in between the 2. There you can see, though, Behrens closing up behind, a little bit of a drift. Oh, and there comes the move. Is he going to go for 2 down into the first corner? Yes, he is. Contact between himself and Herbenau, and they're going to be 3 wide as they exit the corner. More contact there. Oh, my goodness. Herbenau, I think, felt a little bit gone wrong, and that is going to be some side-by-side, but who's going to have it through Coca-Cola? Behrens up into P2, Toffs into P1.
Oh, I mean, what a great little bit of racing there. Behrens did get the overrun on Toffs as we watch a replay here coming down. Just dives out onto the inside, caught Toffs off guard, managed to get it through, and then had the opportunity. Did get a bit of door bang with Herbenau, pushing Herbenau out, but then he had a Delta Sport sandwich, and then you had a little bit of door rubbing between Behrens and Herbenau there for 2nd place overall, but Herbenau was out front and has now found himself in 3rd place. So Behrens has given no quarters to these 2 teammates out in front, and he is wanting this double race victory here tonight.
Yeah, he certainly certainly is, as they work their way through the Dunlop corner right now, trying to see if anybody's going to be able to get anything here. It does look like at this point Herbino will be in prime position to maybe get an overtake done on Behrens in that IGL Coatings Mercedes, but Behrens able to carry some good speed there around the Panasonic corner, that final corner on the circuit, and they're going to all get onto the loud pedal here. Behrens wanting this victory. Toffs trying to hold on. They're going to cross over the line, and if my math is right, it'll be 2 to go.
Definitely is, as we watch Behrens coming down the start-finish straight here. Does he have the time to be able to do the same move again on Toffs in front? Doesn't quite seem to be close enough at the moment, so tucks up behind, but certainly the gaps have come down. So Behrens right on the tailpipe of Toffs out in front.
Yes, he is. Here's a nice little battle in the back. This is Tommy Moljord here in the Lamborghini trying to close down on Nikolai Thrain. Damage to the front of that BMW. This here comes Gavin Gardner in the Ferrari with a whole bunch of overspeed. Going to make this 3 wide going down to the first corner. Who's it going to be? Thrain loses out to both, but it's still side by side between the Italian marks right now, and it looks like Moljord's going to be able to hold that out. Gardner's going to slot back into 14th, but Gardner's not done. He keeps his Ferrari down to the inside of what will be the Coca-Cola corner. Is that going to be enough to be able to get it? Moljord's hoping for a little bit of momentum on the high side as it now switches back through 100R. Who's going to be it? Almost contact there between the two, still side by side as they run down into the corner right now. Oh my goodness, they're not giving this up at all.
No, they're not. Side-by-side action between the Lamborghini and the Ferrari at the moment. No quarters held. Tommy Lloyd managing to keep that position, but really had to work hard from that. I mean, it was amazing how much overspeed. And Gardner again trying to make it count on the outside, but won't be able to get that move down into Dunlop corner. But Gardner really racy at the moment, putting Tommy Lloyd under a whole world of pressure. But we join back up to the front again, and Behrens is trying to make another move on Toffs.
Yes, he is, as the white flag flies here as they cross over the timing and scoring line. Jacob Behrens, a defensive move there from Toffs as he tries to be able to get anything here. Behrens and Toffs going to go down into that first corner, avoid contact, and it looks like it's going to be advantage Jacob Behrens, or advantage Jacob Toffs. Jacob Behrens, though, trying to find a little bit of a run here as they go through Coca-Cola. We saw that can be effective, but he decides not to go for it, almost clipping that bollard there onto the inside. Now working their way through 100R, only a few more corners to go. See what they can do here as Herbino now looks like he is going to be on the attack, trying to close in behind. All of them running a little bit wide there on the exit of the corner, trying to see what they can do. Working their way now through 300R, lining up for the Dunlop curves. Looks like a little bit of an attack there from Behrens, but a bigger attack from Herbino as he sends it down to the outside of Dunlop. Is that going to be enough to prevent a little bit of an overlap there? No, it doesn't look like it, but he's going to try to work back to the inside here as they come down into the final couple of corners here. This twisting back and forth section. They come to the line here out of the penultimate corner. It is Herbino's made a mistake, and that's going to lose a position out to Fletcher, and that's going to be Dadswell trying to take advantage as well. They come down through Panasonic right now. Dadswell trying to get the run here on Herbino. Herbino seeing it all gone to naught here in the final couple of corners. Up front, it is going to be Jacob Toffs by a comfortable margin that will be able to run to the line, but oh my goodness, that's contact with Herbino! That's contact with Herbino and Dadswell into the wall, and that's going to be Deckens, the Winkler rather, that's going to be able to get it, but does Herbino have the run to the line? Yes, he does!
Oh my word, it'd be great to see we get a free play of that, because it did look like Herbino was really pushing Dadswell onto the inside of the track there to kind of... Dadswell did have that run onto the outside into the start-finish straight, so I think he did have the overspeed on Herbino, and Herbino was extremely aggressive trying to squeeze him out there. So if we can get a replay of that, Sam, that would be great, just to see what happened at the back there, because that just caused carnage at the front of the race and just changed the results at the front.
Yes, indeed it did, as Christian Engelhart there able to hold off. Let's take another look at this. This is a problem, it appears, with Thomas Cope, potentially. Your reigning champion that we just saw. Here is the run. Andy, walk us through this.
Yeah, so you see there, oh, Herbino pushing. Oh, my word. Literally, and then... Wow, that was a lot. So basically you had Herbino just trying to push out the... Who was that? I'm trying to think who it was. Tom Dadswell. So basically, Herbany pushing Tom Dadswell out onto the grass because Dadswell did have the overspeed on him, and Carl Winkler behind had a great run on the two of them. Literally, Carl Winkler there just tipped into the back of Herbany, which put him spinning out on track and gave Carl Winkler the opportunity to take that 4th place. But I think that was a bit of high jinx there from Herbany, because I think he was a little bit annoyed that Mark Fletcher managed to make that move on him just before the end of just coming into Dunlop turn. So yeah, I think a little bit of a steward inquiry might be going in there for that one.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there with that. That did look a little bit naughty as they ran, I have to say. But, oh, terrible break there for Tom Dadswell. That is the last thing you really want to see there for your competitors. A very, very rough run there for them. But, yeah, there is the run to the line for Dadswell, finally able to get himself and turn back around.
It certainly did, but Mark Fletcher really a great overtaking move on Herbany. Literally, Herbany went slightly wrong into turn number 15, which gave the opportunity for Mark Fletcher to make that move. And then, obviously, you had Dadswell just behind him that had the overspeed because Herbany was pushed off. As we can see again, I'm just watching it again on the YouTube feed, and it is a terrible crash at the end. And I feel really sorry for Tom Dadswell for losing 2 positions after what was an excellent second race for him.
Yeah, it was a spectacular second race, but let's go ahead and run you through those finishing order here. Barons able to take victory there up at the top. Tom Dadswell, Jacob Toffs, Mark Fletcher, Martin Deckens, Carl Winkler, and Christoph Herbano rounding out that big grouping there up at the front. Ronald Grossman, Alexander Scary. Oh, that is race 1. Excuse me. That is race 1 that we are viewing right now. But it was Jacob Toffs that was able to take victory there. Excuse me. Over Barons, Fletcher, Winkler, Herbano, Deckens, Scarrett there for your podium in Pro-Am. Then it was Dadswell, Kieran Smart, Chris Daines, Ketio Larson, Stuart Wyness, Tommy Molyord as they go down through the order. Tommy Molyord, Gavin Gardner, Nikolai Thrain, Russ Fowler, Gordon Haug, Lasse Sorensen, Christian Engelhart, Renee Hugenhout as the rest of the field continues to filter through. And I think that's going to bring us here to our interviews on the day. And first and foremost, we have the winner from the first race and P2 in the second race, Jacob Barons. First and foremost, Jacob, congratulations. That was a heck of a run through the field. It looks like you just had Fuji all kinds of hooked up.
Yeah, I felt good. I mean, I did not expect that at all. It's so much fun. Yeah.
Well, I mean, obviously in the first race, it looked like you had everything to yourself, but talk to me a little bit about the battling, specifically in those last couple of laps on the second race where things got, well, let's just say a little bit fierce.
Yeah, things got heated. I think I do owe an apology to Christoph Hebner. I'm sorry if I'm butchering your name, but that was a bit late into turn 1. But all in all, it was tough racing. But it was fun, you know, and that's why you do this. It was really good fun.
I mean, it looked like an absolute blast out on circuit, and I've got to ask you, as we look ahead here, we go to another Grade 1 FIA circuit in the form of the Hungaroring next week. Kind of similar characteristics here a little bit on a tight and twisting section and then a longer straightaway. Do you think you can repeat some of the action that we saw here today?
I have no idea. I put in a lot of work here to finally get that win, which, yeah, that feels amazing. But it just, you never know. Sometimes it's your day, sometimes it's not. Today was my day, so I'm pretty happy. And looking forward to the next race.
We're looking forward to it as well, Jacob. But is there anybody you'd like to thank for the run here today?
IGL Coating Sea Racing, of course. I said it before, I said it again. And Sandefjord Trafikkskola. And special shout out to Mats Esterbakken and Lasse Sørensen, who helped support me during the races, which were indispensable. And shout out to the cold I'm having, which makes my voice sound weird and difficulty breathing.
Well, we wish you all the best in the world in terms of recovery, my friend. Get yourself some remedies, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah. Goodbye.
All right, that was Jacob Behrens, your winner there, and it looks like, Andy, you've been able to catch up with Ross Fowler.
Yeah, Russ, congratulations on your double race win in the amateur. How was that racetrack for you?
I don't know, I'm a bit shell-shocked, to be honest. I didn't really get much practice in this week, so I wasn't really expecting to get much of a result, but I had my tactics, which was basically just stay out of trouble, because I know that it's quite easy to lose the car on this track. So I just I drove quite sensibly, really, Andy. It was quite unusual, and I don't. In that first race, I don't know if you've seen the film Bruce Almighty, where he splits the traffic and he just drives through the middle. That's kind of how the first race felt for me. I was just following groups of cars, and they were just coming together and coming off the track, and I was just picking up place after place. It was good. So I think my tactics of just keep it clean actually worked out today. Yeah, it was good.
It certainly did. Obviously, your 2 race wins, and your main rival Otto had a disaster really in the first race and the second race, getting hit off in the first couple of laps. So obviously quite a margin off Otto in the championship at the moment. I think it's around about 52 points, but certainly for your results today will massively close that gap up. I mean, what I want to look at is this straightaway that we're watching on screen at the moment. I mean, what is it like going down there, and how insane is that overspeed?
Yeah, if you get close, it's pretty mad to the point where you kind of have to time it. If you go too early, you kind of lose the advantage. So you've got to time it right. But I don't think I passed anybody. I think I was most of the time I was kind of ahead of where I should have been in the race, if that makes sense. So there were always faster cars behind me, and because I didn't want to get into any trouble, I was like, give the faster guys the inside lane, down that straight, and just follow them for a few laps, and hopefully pick up a bit of a tow. So that was kind of my tactics. So I didn't really I saw lots of guys going in three wide to the first turn, just thinking I'm just going to give them a bit of space, I think. I wasn't up for a fight much today, so
well, it certainly paid off for you there with 2 race victories, and obviously ending up in P16 in that second race, and I think he was around about P11 in that first race. So a great points haul for you today, which will close up at the top of the AM Championship. Before I let you go, mate, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
I'll do my usual and shout out to my wife and kids for putting up with all my practice and whatnot. Shout out to you guys. Always enjoy watching these races back. You guys do a brilliant job. And to everyone at Performance Link Esports as well. Again, unfortunately, my teammate wasn't able to join me again today, but I know he's got lots of projects on the go, so I'll let him off.
Yeah, great. Well, congratulations on your double race win here tonight, Russ, and look forward to an intense battle between yourself and Otto for the rest of the season.
Yes, excellent. Thanks.
Cheers. That was Russ Fowler there. Your double race win in the AM class overall today. DJ, have you got anyone else, or is that it? I think that's it, isn't it?
I think we've got time for one more interview, actually, and that's going to be with our Race 2 winner here, Jacob Toffs. And Jacob, I want to start at the end. Talk me through that last couple of laps in Race 2. That looked like it was tooth and nail fighting.
Yeah, it ended up being really close and loads of fun with Jacob and Chris. The Mercs are very good exiting the final corner and are very quick on the straights, even with, it turns out, the same rear wing. So we had to set them up in the middle of the lap where we were slightly better, and then try and get them on the straight. But even then, it was really hard. There's some really good racing between us and Jacob.
Well, it looked very, very fantastic. And how much were you in contact with Christoph there, obviously trying to be able to hold off Jacob down the long straightaways? Were you guys really kind of playing some team strategy there?
Not really, no. I wasn't really close enough to help with anything, unfortunately. But once Jacob had passed Chris, I'd been following Jacob for a while and was following him in the first half of the first race, so I knew where he was strong and weak. So I just told Chris where he could pass, and then I think that opened up a few opportunities.
Well, all right then. As we look ahead, though, into next week when we head out to the Hungaroring, how do you like the chances there in the BMW?
Oh, well, it's going to be hard to pass there, right? So the Mercs will be quick on the straight again, probably, unfortunately. So we'll have to see what we can do. Maybe something with the setup, or we'll just have to continue to race, follow them through the lap and try and set them up somewhere. But I think either way, it'll be a really good race with those guys.
Well, I know I'm very much looking forward to it, my friend. But is there anybody you'd like to thank for this win here tonight?
Just Hardpoint and our sponsors, you guys for organising, and Jacob and the other guys for some really good racing.
Right, well, thank you. That was Jacob Toffs, your winner in the second race here tonight. And folks, that's about going to wrap things up for us here on Apex Racing TV. But on behalf of myself, Andy Thompson, and Sam Fitzpatrick, thank you so much for joining us. Also, a massive, massive shout out to our sponsors, Virtual Racing School, SDK Gaming, and Apex Racing Academy. We will be back for that race at the Hungaroring next time out. And until we see you on the track, thanks for watching.
Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.